invites us all to return to the pilgrimages of our life of faith. Once again, the public life of Jesus Christ begins to unfold, not only for those who first experienced it, but for all of those who have been a part of that journey through all the days of our lives. Through the next Sundays of this calendar year, Jesus' public life will be unfolded before us. And it's a journey that we're familiar with, a journey that he invited, well, the most indiscreet group of people imaginable to first accompany him. Peter, a fisherman, and his brother Andrew, what do they have to offer? James and John, fishermen like their cousins, what do they have to offer? And then he picks up people like Matthew, a turncoat and a trader, a tax accountant, who turned his own people's monies over to the Roman conquerors. Jesus gathers around him not the elite of Jerusalem, but the commoners of Nazareth in the north. What good can come out of Nazareth? Those Jews up there are interbred with all kinds of those filthy Gentiles. They were suspicious at best by the pure-blooded Jews of Benjamin and Judah that hovered around the priestly class of Jerusalem. The Jews who loved to look down on their other fellow Jews as being somewhat less Jewish than themselves. Does that sound familiar? Jesus picks the likes of Peter and Andrew. Can you imagine? When he could have had the elite of the world, he could have gone to Jerusalem and got the most learned rabbis, the holiest and most respected priests. He ignores them all and picks instead his fellow villagers, who seemingly had so very little to offer in return to the demands that he was going to make of them, because he was going to say to them what I say to you this morning in his name. You are the salt of the earth. You and I am the light of the world. In the darkness and in the challenges of another winter Sunday, we need to hear those words. And we need to be authorized and empowered by them. Because the humble, the most nondescript, the most unlikely, the most unwanted people in the world were called to journey with Jesus in building this kingdom of his. And every year, early in the year, we begin that journey again through the memory of the pleasant physician, the accompaniment of St. Paul, the so-called St. Luke, the physician. Was he a man? Was he a group of people? However that might be, this gospel account of Jesus' life, well, it will flavor the likes of your life and mine over the coming Sundays of this year, as it has for so many years, in which you and I, the most unlikely fellow workers, have been asked to continue the establishment of and the growth of the kingdom of Jesus Christ. Admittedly, among my other faults, I'm an inveterate sports fan, and last Sunday I sat glued in front of my television set as a great drama unfolded. But it was one that most of us football fans expected, because the team that was contending for a divisional championship was commandeered by the most famous coach in the history of professional football. And we could only expect that he would have a grand game plan, that somehow or other among the players that he would field, there would be one who would stand out, who would lead them. And, predictably, I suppose, that same drama unfolded. There was a star quarterback on the team, but who could name the names of the rest of the players? They were like interchangeable parts, because a year ago, and a year before that, and a year before that, other people manned the line of scrimmage, and other people occupied the backfield. Names had been interchanged, but the program was the same. Because this coach understood what he was about better than anyone. And he knew that he didn't somehow or other need to be overshadowed by a whole group of nondescript people. He needed to allow the game to succeed and a championship to come, not only to his franchise, but to glorify himself and that chosen leader on the field that we saw once again succeed. Those players in that game, they were consistent. They were aggressive. But most importantly, they were willing to accept pain to protect the players next to them. Much like the soldiers who returned from a combat. They always like to talk about their fellow soldiers because they were willing to give their lives for their buddies. That same kind of plan unfolded because you see that's the formula that Jesus had when he picked the unlikely likes of Peter and John and the rest of them. As we look back on their lives, they didn't build any great cathedrals. They didn't leave behind any great material things in their own lifetime. But they set a tone. They helped it compete this kingdom that Jesus talked about, develop and prevail. They needed tools for that. If you're going to build a kingdom, you need tools. And Jesus was very careful in the selection of those nobodies that he chose. He was going to arm them with tools with which his kingdom would be built. Inspiration. You are the light of the world. You don't put a light under a bushel basket. You put it on a hill where it can give light to all the surrounding area. He chose people who would inspire other people by their lives. This week I heard a member of the newly elected Congress speak about her election. She was the first from her congressional district to be a woman. She was the first of her congressional district to be of her ethnicity. She was the first mother. She was the first of so many things. She was disgusted with how the American government worked, but rather than to curse the darkness, she decided she was electable. And lo and behold, she was elected. But when she was asked about her election, you know what she talked about? She talked about a letter that she received from one of the people who was going to vote for her. A young woman her own age who was dying of breast cancer. The author of that letter said to the woman elected to the Congress, I had given up on my treatment program. I was so distressed and overcome by my illness and all the things in our country that were going wrong that I decided just to quit it all. All of this wasn't worth it anymore. But your decision to run to Congress, since you were one like me, it made a difference in my life. I've decided to go back on my program again. The one elected to Congress was so much more proud, apparently, in telling that story that she had been elected. But it was the people that had elected, and that her choice tried to change her career and to be something she never espoused to be, an elected political officer representing her country. Inspiration. Inspiration is all around us. There were people this week who inspired our lives and changed them and made us think differently. You are the light of the world. You're the salt of the earth. That's what Jesus told the unlikely likes of Peter and his brother. There are tools with which the kingdom is built. Healing. This past week on local television, we saw this very wonderful story of two women who work out every day at a Vic Tanny's or wherever. One found out the other needed a kidney. She decided that she had two healthy ones and only needed one. That she would take the daring step of giving a kidney to a relative stranger, somebody she only worked out with, but out of her deep faith in Jesus Christ, she decided to give that kidney despite the protests of her family. Healing. When Jesus decided to choose people to build his kingdom, he chose healers. Liberators. We are all called to be liberators. The people with whom we work, all those government employees who sacrifice so much that we could have the wonderful life that we live, that we took for granted for so many years, suddenly they were more than our postmen. Suddenly they were more than our teachers or our guides or whatever federal employees do. Suddenly they were our real neighbors. Suddenly their threat was our threat. We heal people. The doctors who transplanted those kidneys, they're certainly great healers, and they're the ones we think about when we think about healing, right? But what about sitting on a bus on the way to work with somebody who's terribly angry? Angry that her husband doesn't appreciate her, and her kids don't appreciate her, and life doesn't seem to appreciate her. How terribly needing she is of somebody to listen. Because that's how we really heal. When we listen to other people who are outraged about the things that outrage us, and we're patient, and we don't have any answers to what they're angry about, but we're patient in listening to them, we become great healers. You're the light of the world. You're the salt of the earth. We had those kinds of experiences this week. We may not have identified them, but the salt of the earth and the light of the world is all around us, and we're those people because we've been the beneficiaries of just what I'm talking about. What Jesus ordered a long time ago, as his kingdom would be built systematically and consistently down through the ages. Not a brick and mortar, but a flesh and blood. Priests get to do great things. I got to do a great thing this week. I got to bury Sister Julia Mary Madden. Sister was born together with her 3 siblings in Tipperary, Ireland. Have you ever been to Tipperary? Well, it's one of the only places in Ireland you can stand. You can see 4 counties around you. And all the Yanks love to come there. Because in going to Tipperary, you don't have to go to all the surrounding counties. You get a view of them all before you head down the Connor Pass and on the way to Kerry. Sister came with her mother and dad and her 3 siblings. Another one was born in Canada. Lived in the Manitoba area, decided that she was gifted to be a nurse. Sister was a very tall person. She was 6'1". Very unusual for Irish, especially an Irish lady. She got her degree in nursing in Toronto. But healing and caring for the sick needed to have a foundation. And she looked for a foundation and finally decided at an advanced age to join the Sisters of Mercy of Farmington, Michigan. I had the great pleasure of standing in her presence for 20 years as she grew in her skills and became a nurse clinician before she died. The doctors loved to have their patients in the care of Julia Mary. She was one of those old country nurses, the kind that doctors easily boss around, but they couldn't boss her around. She was too Irish for that. They all learned to respect her, as we all did. Well, I went out to Mercy Center to bury Sister this week on Friday morning. I knew what I was going to say to you this week about being the salt of the earth and the light of the world. I experienced that at Julia Mary. I had some things in my closet, as I tend to have, some autographed items, and I took them over to Mercy High School before the ceremony, and I consigned them there together with a small check. The ones to whom I gave those items for their upcoming fundraiser didn't really know who I am or that I'd spent 30 years with the sisters, but I consigned the things and I left there. That school needs millions of dollars to operate every year. What good is the little things that I left behind? Even though for my income it was a sizable gift, appreciable gift, one fitting Julia Mary's salt and light. I was much more able to bury her after that. She had been the salt of the life to many people who had given up on life. I had the privilege of burying her. I had the privilege of experiencing her salty wit and her great light. And I was surrounded by the other sisters who had experienced the same thing.